Saturday's game right away. Houston was the early game. Houston at Baltimore. Baltimore was a minus 9.5 point favorite. They covered that, obviously, 34-10. Let me tell you just a few things that I found in this game. Obviously, you got Lamar versus CJ, youngest QB to ever win a playoff game the week before. Lamar's 2 passing, 2 rushing touchdowns in a playoff game. He joined some elite company, but there's a caveat to that elite company. All right, so he joins Kaepernick, Jay Cutler, Cam Newton as guys that have all done that, right? None of them won a Super Bowl. None of them won a championship. The one that did win it back in 54 and 55, Otto Graham 2 times did that. He won championships.
Okay,
so we'll see if this will.
What team did Otto Graham play for?
I mean, he might have played for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, okay.
We're going to bring it up. But I think that's pretty interesting to see, that's got 2 passing, 2 rushing, to have that happen in a game. If you look at the rest of the stats of the game, and I'm sure you got some of that up, there wasn't anything spectacular that happened other than Lamar. On both sides, both teams, nothing offensively stuck out. There wasn't anybody that went off other than Lamar. There wasn't anybody that had, I think, over 70 yards receiving. There wasn't anybody that had over 50 yards rushing except for Lamar.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot he had that game on lock. And I think for the people that love CJ, obviously Ohio State guy, you see the hat. There's other reasons why that's on today, ladies and gentlemen, but we'll get into that later. It was nice to see that happen. Outside of Lamar, like I said, nothing really went down. They still put up 34. That's what's impressive to me and scary.
Yeah. And, also Lamar, at the half, right, it was tied 10-10, right?
Yeah.
Tied 10-10 at the half, and Lamar said, hey, they were rusty, off that bye week.
Yeah.
So they came out rusty, and then they knocked the rust off in the second half, like you said, and won 34-10. So, imagine if they start the next game not so rusty and don't have a poor first half. And again, the 10 for the Texans, there's a punt return in that. Like,
yes.
I think the first punt return since I had it somewhere, like 2012, I think. First punt return in the playoffs. So, yeah,
that's
it's been
incredible.
a while. Yeah.
Well, and then think about this. Houston gave up 0 sacks. C.J. Stroud did not get sacked 1 time. I had to look at it 3 times to make sure I was getting that stat right. He didn't get sacked at all. And they got to Lamar 3 times. So Houston got pressure on Lamar, and yet it still was 34-10.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Houston's rushing. They had 38 rushing yards.
Dude, 38 rushing yards. Think about this. 38 rushing yards. Baltimore had 229, right?
Yes.
I know we're not going to go forward, but we'll get into what that means next week. The 0 turnover thing, for me, both teams had 0 turnovers. That's impressive, especially when the turnover battle, usually if you win that, it's, the likelihood of winning the game is so unique. So if I told you, hey, Houston turned the ball over 0 times and sacked Lamar 3 times, you'd think, okay. And CJ didn't play a horrible game. He played a pretty good game. He wasn't in duress. You would think that the game would have been closer than that. So to me, as an AFC fan, and obviously because of the Browns, I'm worried from the standpoint of, I guess I kind of want to see Kansas City go on, which we'll go into that. But Baltimore looks like a juggernaut right now, Patrick.
Yeah, no, they really do. And, I was going to say, I was going to go into C.J. Stroud and just talk about how, as far as obviously just an amazing year for the kid. And just I don't think it could have gone any better besides going and winning the Super Bowl. This is kind of the best year to help him win future Super Bowls, right? Because he got the confidence from a playoff win, right? And then he got the fire from a playoff loss. Right. And I think that's great. Like, giving this kid more fuel to his fire. And again, you can't really feel bad and down for losing to a team like the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar, who's just on another level right now. But at the same time, CJ is all these teams we talked about it. Matt LaFleur kind of said this after the game, that they went in expecting to win that game. And that's just kind of the attitude of most of these teams. And most of these, they fully expect to win. And, even if they're the underdogs, they believe in themselves enough that they go in fully expecting to win. And I think you have to have that attitude to win. So, of course, it's a big disappointment to CJ, and he's going to use that next year.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great point, Pat, about, it does build that fire of getting the experience, winning your division year 1. Him and his coach seem to have a great connection from the defensive offensive side. Watching them, his faith, how that team has responded to that. And if anything, that just shows time and time again in the NFL, truly, if you get the quarterback, you can compete. Because that is what's happened. If you look at all the quarterbacks that, in this, that we're going to go through, how many of them, I'm looking at all the teams that were left, all of them have very good to considered elite quarterbacks, everybody that was left.
Right.
So it does show that you can have that, and that really does turn it around. And obviously Baltimore's going to be waiting for the Kansas City Chiefs, which we're going to get into.
Yeah.
That was the Saturday early morning game. Do you have anything else you want to add to that with the Baltimore game? That game was the least exciting of the 4 of the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we not really. I mean, you did say, obviously we've got plenty more opportunities to talk about Lamar, so we can probably move on.
Okay. All right. So that second game, boy, there was a lot of fans that were excited and worried, depending on what side you were on. The Green Bay Packers, the surprising Green Bay Packers, who, Aaron Rodgers, after 15 seasons or whatever of 16 years of playing, gone. This is the, Matt LaFleur saying you do it without Aaron Rodgers. This is Jordan Love's first chance of full-time starting. Is he going to be able to be the guy? And I think that we found out that all those answers are yes.
Right.
That all those answers are yes. Matt LaFleur was brought in there because of his play calling. He showed that he can do it. He can tailor it to the skill set of Jordan Love and what their team has. And to see them go into San Francisco and give San Francisco 55 minutes of hell. Give San Francisco a real, I mean, those fans were really scared, I'm sure. They were concerned that they were going to lose that game, San Francisco fans, because they were putting it to them. They played. It was wet. It was sloppy. Yes, there were some times. But, man, to see Green Bay, for them and their fans, they got to be excited about what's around the corner. For them to lose 24-21 to San Francisco just shows you that should be it's exciting for the NFC North all around. Everybody looks good.
Yeah, and again, like the Packers are the youngest team in the league, so it's just that much more impressive to me what they've done and that performance. And again, LaFleur talked about missed opportunities, and there really were a lot of them, right? And they had many opportunities to put that game away and put the 49ers out of it. And so, some missed field goals, of course. And then at the end, they might have been able to get in field goal range, but Jordan Love, channeled his inner Brett Favre and threw across his body and threw a pick. Because I feel like there was some time on the clock, right? Like after the Niners scored.
Yes.
So either way, and that's what you get with a young quarterback and a young team. Sometimes maybe miss more opportunities than an experienced team, but they're going to be dangerous in the future. And as a fan of the Vikings, so watching the Packers play and then watching the Lions win, oh man, it's our future. We need that quarterback. I hope Kirk Cousins stays, and I won't get into that, but you're right. The future of the NFC North and especially those two teams look really good.
Obviously the weather was wet, as weather can be. And it obviously impacted the game. There was inaccuracies, footing on both sides of the ball. It did obviously came down to the wire. The Packers could have won that game, and they could have been playing Detroit. Mm-hmm. And I think if the Packers win that game, they're going to Detroit thinking, we can stomp I and go to the Super Bowl. I think that their confidence level would have been even more. It's just what you said. And here's the thing, with Jordan Love making that throw, he probably is making that throw in perfect weather. He's probably making that throw indoors. Yeah. I think there was a lot.
Right.
Across the body's tough enough, but with the weather being the way it was, and for the guy to do it.
I saw what he saw. I saw the route opening up if maybe he had Brett Favre's arm or Josh Allen's arm, but, I get it, though. The rain, all of that.
Dude, and think about it, man. Drew Greenlaw, 2 interceptions. They must have forgot about Dre.
Yeah.
They must have forgot about Dre. Shout out Eminem. But they must have forgot about Dre, because when you see that guy, he had 2 picks. And why he didn't go down for the life of me, I don't understand. He picked up, go down and you get the game over. Nope, he was trying to score. I don't know what he was doing. But it was unbelievable.
We have to give props, obviously, to the 49ers scoring on that final drive. Brock Purdy going 6 for 7 on that final drive. And then also shout out to Brandon Ayuk making some big plays.
ASU alum, baby.
Yeah,
ASU
I know.
Alum,
is he the best from ASU ever? I know you said Rod Tidwell.
Yeah. All right, on the other side of the break, we're going to get into the Sunday slate of games. You guys are listening to KDUS 1060 Phoenix, home of the Dan Patrick Show, Rich Eisen, and, of course, us, James Out West, featuring Pat the Stat Guy. Make sure you guys come on back.